Hi y'all, Mike again from Fierce Rods. We're going to do a rod holder install on my wife's brand new D10. We got the pattern for the rod holder. It's not perfectly round like the bottom of this is, because when you tip it to put it on angle, it becomes oval. So the rod holder comes with a pattern. So what I like to do is something I've never done before. Instead of ruining the kayak, I start out on a piece of wood. So we're going to do a test cut first just to make sure that the hole saw we got is the correct size and everything's going to go like it's supposed to. So what you do is you lay your pattern on the wood, trace it out. As you can see, it's not round, it's oval. Take your hole saw, line it up with the back side so the rod holder is going to sit this way. So you got 3 holes. You want to start where the number 1 hole is, that way, the way the rod's going to point. Start on that side. Once the drill bit goes in, then what you're going to do is take the drill bit and angle it so you make the forward cut. Now what happens is the drill bit will go so far, the piece of wood inside is going to hit the back of the drill bit. It won't go any further. So what you do is angle it back down, finish out your first cut. Okay, you gotta dig your cutout out. Do not touch the drill bit because it is extremely hot. Screwdriver. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the second cut and finish it off. We're going to get the top end of it where the 2 holes are, so it'll be on the top end here. Sit like this. So we're going to come in here. This is the tricky part because you don't have a guide hold to start with. You got to kind of hold it steady. That's it. That should be absolutely perfect. Now for the moment of truth, drop your rod holder in. If it sits flat and flush, you got 3 holes of plastic material underneath it for your screws to go in. That's it. Done deal. Now we're ready to ruin the kayak. Alright, so we did our test cut on the wood. It turned out perfectly. I've actually done, that was my 3rd one, not my first one, but I did 3 just to make sure. We're getting ready to do the actual kayak now. So same thing. I tried a pencil. Pencil wouldn't show up, so I went ahead and grabbed my channel marker and marked it out with a channel marker so it's in white so I can see what I'm getting ready to do. Make sure that you do this with enough time to go back to Bass Pro to replace the kayak when you screw this up so your wife doesn't find out. So here goes nothing. We'll see how this works out. Just line it right up there. Just like on the wood, get it started and start cooking. Boy, that cuts a lot easier than the wood did. Okay, same thing as before. Dig out your cutout. Remember, don't touch the drill bit. Extremely hot. Okay, for the second cut, this is the one that gets tricky because you don't have a guide hole to go through. You got to kind of freehand it. Remember, just try to keep it on the white line. This determines whether you're sleeping on the couch or in the bed tonight. I do believe I'm sleeping in my bed. Done deal. Got our hole drilled. We stayed right within the line. Drop your rod holder in. You can kind of adjust the angle on it just slightly one way or the other. You got a little bit of movement there before it hits. Drill your pilot holes for your screws and you're all done. We'll do that in just a second. Got our hole drilled. We stayed right within the line. Drop your rod holder in. You can kind of adjust the angle on it just slightly one way or the other. You got a little bit of movement there before it hits. drill your pilot holes for your screws, and you're all done. We'll do that in just a second. Okay, so we got our hole saw cut. Everything looks really good. I cleaned up the inside of the hole a little bit. Normally what you would do is put a layer of silicone in there to keep the water from leaking in it. I'm going to go ahead and mount it. We're going out Sunday, so when I come back, I'll pull it and silicone it next week. You could opt to rivet it. I like to put screws in it because if a rivet becomes loose, you have to drill it and re-rivet it. If a screw comes loose, you just tighten it up or replace it, put a bigger screw in. So I like using screws. Everything's stainless, obviously. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and drill our pilot holes for our screws. We're using a 7/64 drill bit for these screws that we're going to use on this. We'll get it as centered as possible. Gotta love working with plastic. Everything goes easy. Okay, let me grab a screwdriver. So we got the hole drilled. Just go ahead and mount the screw in there. These are countersunk screws because the rod holder has like a V cut in it, so the screw sits down inside the rod holder so you can't drag anything across it and get cut. Don't want to over tighten them because you're only putting this in the plastic, so you gotta be really careful not to over tighten it. Okay, 2 more screws and this job is done. And I'm not sleeping on the couch, that's the cool part. Okay, there's one. Last one and done. Just snug them down. You don't want to over tighten them. You can always go back and snug them down again if they become loose, where as a rivet, if it starts to get a little wobbly, you have to re-drill it and re-rivet it, which is a hassle. That's why I like the screws better. So, that's it. Fishing rod installation, flush mount, all done. We're going to do anchor trolleys next week. So we'll videotape that and put it out there so you guys can see it. Talk to y'all later. Bye.